Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Breaking the Barriers. So today we are discussing the second part of chapter 2 stories about flying. As you can see here at the top of the page, two stories about flying. The second part is titled The Black Aeroplane. So today we are going to discuss the Black Aeroplane, that what it is all about. I have already discussed the first part. If you have not seen the video, you can click on the I button which is coming at the top of your screen and you can watch the video. Talking about the second part, this is not a continuation but a separate story from the first one. That is why the title says two stories about flying. So you cannot connect this story to the previous part of the seagull. You have to understand it as a complete separate story. Okay, so let's see what this story is all about. This is the chapter according to the NCRT book. It is same, and I am going to discuss this from here line by line. Before starting the explanation, if you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Let's go. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone, high up above the sleeping countryside. Now see at the bottom of the page. Countryside means the land and scenery of a rural area. Rural area. When here the narrator is flying an aeroplane, a Dakota aeroplane. And you can see this image over here where the cursor is pointed. This is what a Dakota aeroplane looks like. So he was flying a Dakota aeroplane, and this is not a commercial flight. This is a personal flight where he is the only passenger of the plane and he is alone flying the plane from France to England, his hometown. And he's describing you that what the atmosphere is right now when he is flying the plane. So he's saying that stars are shining in the clear sky, there are no clouds, and I am flying high above, and below I can see the countryside. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. So he's going back to England, his hometown. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. Now he's living in England, so that is why when he's going to England, he is thinking about his family and enjoying with them. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. That is why he said sleeping countryside. I should call Paris control soon. Now every particular airport or area had a control room, and this control room used to guide the planes as to where they have to go, and they also have to take permission from the control room to fly through their areas. Otherwise it is considered as intrusion, or Hindi में बोलेंगे तो घुसपैठ. Okay, as I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, means the front of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of the big city in front of me, and with the help of these lights he was able to make out that this is Paris. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS-088 here. Can you hear me? I'm on my way to England. Over. So this is the name of his plane, Dakota DS-088. Whenever you are making contact with control room, you have to tell them who you are. You have to identify yourself, and then only they will give you permission to fly over their airbase or control room. So he said, I am Dakota DS-088 and I have to go to England. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. Means immediately he got the response from control room. DS-088, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west now. DS-088, over. So here the control room gave the instructions that okay, if you want to go to England, you should turn your plane 12 degrees towards the west. Now degrees is the course through which you direct the plane in the air. So the control room guided him that please turn your plane to 12 degrees west. I checked the map and the compass. switched over to my second and last fuel tank and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. See where I'm pointing the cursor below at the left corner of the page, you can see the image of the compass. This is what a compass is, which is used to judge the directions. So he looked at the map and the compass and he changed his course to 12 degrees west towards England. Now he was traveling at 1:30 in morning. So he said, I'll be in time for breakfast. That means I'll reach England early in the morning and then I'll be having a good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. Now suddenly he saw clouds appearing in front of him and Paris is already 150 kilometers behind him. Storm clouds, they were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. Black, that means filled with water. So these are mountains which are bringing storm and rain with them. I knew I could not fly up and over them. Now, why is he saying I cannot fly up the mountains? Because every plane has its limitations and capacity. For example, you cannot chase a Ferrari with a Maruti 800, isn't it? They both machines have their own different capacities. Similarly, Dakota DS-088, the plane that he is traveling in, is not efficient enough to fly at an altitude above the clouds. Second, he is saying, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to north or south. Previously, we have seen that he switched over to second fuel tank. That means this is his last fuel tank. In aeroplanes, you generally have two fuel tanks. One is the reserve tank, which comes into action when the fuel in your main tank gets exhausted. So he's saying I have already switched to second tank and I am not having enough fuel to go around these clouds, means in this way, around, to go around these clouds from north or south because I am not having enough fuel for that. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to go home. I wanted that breakfast. I'll take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So he said, no problem, I am ready to take the risk. I will not go back to Paris, although that is the right decision to make right now, but he was ready to take the risk because he was thinking about that breakfast. He's being quite greedy here. And he flew his Dakota straight into the storm. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the plane because the clouds have now surrounded the plane and they are all dark black in color, pitch black in color. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. Means the aeroplane is losing its control, jumping and twisting in the air. I looked at my compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. Compass was turning round and round means it is not showing any proper direction. It was dead, means not working. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio. Now here you can see an image at the end of the page. This is what a radio looks like in a Dakota aeroplane. Dakotas are old models. You do not see Dakota aeroplanes flying in the sky now in the present year or present era. So here also you can see this radio looks like an ancient piece of instrument. And these type of radios were there in the Dakota aeroplane. So he tried to connect himself through this radio, but he's saying, Paris control, can you hear me? This is what he said through the radio. There was no answer. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. I was lost in the storm. Then in the black clouds, quite near me, I saw another aeroplane, a silver lining, another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wings. Generally, you see now, if you see aeroplanes during night time in the sky, you see the lights blink from the planes. Those lights are fixed on the wings of the aeroplane, which help the other aeroplanes during night time to judge if a aeroplane is coming from the front direction. So he's saying there were no lights on that other plane, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. And I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved, "Follow me." He was saying, "Follow me." He knows that I'm lost, I thought. He's trying to help me. So the other plane, he saw the pilot in that plane, and the pilot was waving his hand something like this, which means follow me. Maybe the pilot of the other plane knew that I am lost, and that is why he's trying to help me. This is what the narrator thought. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota. Means suppose if this is the Dakota, the new pilot flew in front of the plane. Means he is giving an idea that I am moving and you follow me. Okay, so that it would be easier for me to follow him. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. And he's saying, like an obedient child, I followed him. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 more minutes. I was starting to feel frightened, but then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. So for half an hour, he followed the other black aeroplane. But now his fuel is getting low. And he's saying, I only have enough fuel to fly for 5 to 10 more minutes. And I started to feel afraid or frightened again. But then that other black aeroplane started to go down. And following him, the narrator also flew down with the aeroplane. Suddenly, I came out of the clouds and saw two long straight lines of light in front of me. Now, airport has runways, and those runways are having lights on both the ends, so that at night, when planes are trying to land, they could easily judge where the runway is. So, these are the lights of the runway. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look at my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. So he looked at the airport, the runway, and he was very happy. And then when he again looked up to find the black aeroplane, he could see the empty sky. The black aeroplane was nowhere to be seen, like it just disappeared, like that. I landed and I was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota. Why he should be sorry? Because he's not landing in England. He's landing somewhere in between. But right now he's not at all sorry. He must be sorry, but he's not sorry because he had something more important to do. He need to go and thank the other pilot who was flying the black aeroplane. I walked away from my old Dakota near the control tower. I went and asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I wanted to thank him. So he went to the woman in the control room and he said, "Where I am, tell me my location and who was that other pilot in the black aeroplane." I wanted to thank him because he saved me. She looked at me very strangely and then laughed. "Another aeroplane? Up there in the storm?" These are the questions. See, the question marks are placed. These are the questions which are asked by that lady from the narrator. "No other aeroplane was flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar." So the lady said, "There was no other plane flying tonight. The only aeroplane which was visible on my radar was yours." So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or radio and without any more fuel in my tank? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without the lights? Now this is a mystery where the writer finishes the chapter and the conclusion has been left to the readers to think. The writer has not given you any specific conclusion. You can think and you can assume that what could be the ending. According to the chapter, there was no black aeroplane flying in the sky as the control lady told him, and the narrator is confused as to who helped him in the storm and who saved his life. Okay, so the chapter ends here. I hope you are able to understand the chapter. Subscribe the channel and like this video. Bye bye.